What is the purpose of education to you?
I don't think the system is coping.
To what extent the government does its role?
I don't have to have education to be educated or intelligent.
Forget it, the world is already completely relying on technology.
Yeah, right.
If we are changing, why hasn't our system changed?
Unless there is a Qatari involved, you don't get a project.
Hi and welcome everybody. Welcome to our YouTube channel. This is our first video. We're really excited to start. And our channel, as an introduction, just to let you know, guys, it's talking about different topics related to social issues and to the level of the individual as well. This is going to be basically about one of our conferences we have attended recently. So this is happening in Qatar. Actually, several conferences and forums have been happening in Qatar lately, and one of which we have been invited to. So we basically did some interviews with people who have experiences with education, or that have worked or have been working in the education industry. So without further ado, I'll leave you guys with the video and enjoy it. From your time, how is the system of education and to what's happening now?
I would say rather it is much better now because there is clarity regarding what is to be done in education. Whereas in those times it was nobody's domain. Yes, somebody with goodwill used to do good work. Otherwise it was left to anybody. So nobody cared. And somehow all we got educated, that's all I can say. Fortunately, we became something or other, we got guided. But nowadays there is greater clarity as to what is to be achieved from education at each level. So it is clarity regarding outcomes, clarity regarding competencies to be achieved, skills and knowledge level. These are clearly articulated. So that way it is much better, and the facilities are much better, the communication is much better, and even the expectations at the teacher level are really articulated. That is a good part of it.
What is education about, if you'd say? What is the purpose of education to you as a person?
To me, as an individual.
As an individual.
Not as a teacher.
Not as a teacher.
It's a way to understand. It's simply one way. It's not the only way. It's a way to understand. It's a way in. It's a door. I don't have to have education to be educated or intelligent.
All right.
It is one way to demonstrate how I will participate in the society. But it's not the only way. Just because I have a piece of paper that says I have a degree. Sometimes a system called education, built during the Industrial Revolution, has a very specific setup that doesn't apply anymore. So you have to kind of wonder, if we are changing, why hasn't our system changed?
I can see. All right. To what extent the education system is coping with the changes nowadays with technology and all?
Okay, to be honest with you, I don't think the system is coping because if we check generally, the countries who are really coping are countries which are well developed. But if you go further to countries which are not developed yet, they're still struggling. So if you go, for example, if you go to Africa, this kind of support is not available. But if Qatar is privileged, so this support is available in Qatar. But generally, I think the system is not coping with this pace.
Right now, for the current education we have been seeking for, and for when we connect with the future, the generation also, the main thing is STEM. That's really needed a binding engineering, binding force to it. So whenever the thing what I've seen today is, especially they're telling about what we are going to see schools in next 5 years, the future classrooms. So about the future classrooms, all the aspects and the equipments and all the modern technologies have been here.
Yeah, I can see it all around.
Completely all around here, and all are from throughout the globe, 360 degree, they have been showing the different variant sectors. If these are being going to educate in children's during the classroom as well as for the teachers, it's going to be a great mind-blowing education sector.
Well, yeah, of course, technology and all what you can see here could do really great for the future, because the future will not wait for anybody. What are the impacts that you could see, or maybe you could explain us more about it, like in your place?
We have students who have performed extremely well when it comes to academic learning of two subjects, which is science and math. But when we bring STEM into the curriculum, their application of science and math becomes very, very strong. For example, when you teach them electronics, how resistors resistors work, how capacitors work.
Right.
They are learning definitions and they are learning formulas. But how it is really applicable in an industry or real life format,
Real life, right.
is something that STEM teaches you. And that's something that we bring to the table.
That's great.
We bridge the gap of academic concepts with real applications.
Oh, that's great.
الستم يعني شو جاب ستم انه يزيد الاضافه للتعليم، يعني شو الاضافه اللي زادها على التعليم؟
طبعا هي فكرة ستم اللي هو العلوم والتكنولوجيا والهندسة والرياضيات بتكمن قيمتها أنها توفر المهارات الفنية والتفكير الفني عند الجيل الناشئ في أمور تساعد دفعة المجتمعات خصوصا من الناحية الاقتصادية. فأنت اليوم لو أخذنا مثلا المجتمعات القوية من ناحية اقتصادية، اقتصادها قوي، بنشوف في مجتمعات قائمة على الإنتاج، على الصناعة، على صناعات مختلفة، من صناعات هندسية إلى صناعات طبية إلى صناعات الأفلام وهاي. بس هذه كلها تتطلب أن الواحد يكون عنده المهارات الفنية أن يقدر يقدم جديد في الصناعات هذه اللي تنعكس عليها قيمة اقتصادية كبيرة.
صحيح.
فتكمن قيمة الستم في المراحل التعليمية أن أنت من وقت مبكر تبلش تعود الناس على هذا النوع من الفكر، وفي نفس الوقت مع الوقت هم يصيرون أفراد عندهم قيمة علمية، قيمة فنية كبيرة، يساعدون المجتمع في حل مشاكله.
صحيح.
ويساعدون في تطوير اقتصاد المجتمعات نفسها.
To be open about education online, or it should be managed in a way.
I don't think anything online should be managed in any way.
Okay.
If we're talking about open access and we're talking about equity to something, that's where digitizing spaces can work.
All right.
But I think that if you're going to hack your education, right, via Khan Academy or whatever other platform you can, that makes you a better critical thinker.
Okay.
But you still might not have the thing that says you're qualified.
I see.
But you know a lot. And there's lots of parodies and different dystopian things about how we look at things. And open access is one of them.
That's right.
And doesn't that allow for more creativity and inventiveness?
Well, that's a really great.
It's a question.
Yeah, well, it's a big question actually.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, that's
Science, technology, engineering and mathematics, and hardly any integration. So integrating them into the school level itself is a great task. And I don't think there is hardly ever a satisfactory application seen.
Okay.
It is not conceived very well at the government level or at the policy level. And very rarely are the teachers educated or equipped to integrate that.
Yes,
So the challenge is basically to motivate the teachers to be people who know about what is STEM and integrate that into their teaching framework, the curriculum as well as pedagogy. Both are required. So I hardly find a teacher in the school even knowledgeable, equipped or desirous to implement STEM.
قطر ما شاء الله يعني التعليم إنتاجية التعليم يعني عالية جدا، فإلى أي مدى يعني نظام الستم متوفر أو implemented يعني بالإنجليزي في النظام التعليمي القطري؟
طبعا صحيح مثل ما تفضلت انت، النظام التعليمي في قطر في استثمارات كبيره ضخمه فيه صراحه من كذا سنه، مينلي في البنيه التحتيه، المباني، توسع المنظومه التعليميه نفسها.
صحيح.
وحاليا في اهتمام كبير في تمكين المنظومه التعليميه كلها من ستم في كل المراحل المختلفه، بحيث انه يصير ستم متوفر حق كل الطلاب والطالبات بكل اعمارهم مختلفه، بكل خلفياتهم مختلفه. ففي هذا التوجه الحقيقي اليوم في قضيه تعميم منهجيه ستم على كل المدارس. واكبر دليل على هذا نشوف الحدث اللي احنا فيه اليوم. صحيح. موجودين هنا، نشوف الناس اللي جايه، الشركات اللي جايه، زين، اللي يعكس انه في خصوصا اكثر الشركات جايه من برا. صحيح. اللي يعكس انه صحيح في طلب على ستم من ناحيه منظومه تعليميه.
صحيح، في اهتمام كبير يعني صراحه.
صحيح.
the world is increasingly, forget it, the world is already completely reliant on technology.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's right.
Most of us from the middle generations who still remember times before internet and now understand how much the world has changed.
Right.
But kids nowadays are growing up with tablets and mobiles and all from
you can see from the very early childhood.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
And so they operate it, and maybe they can understand the graphic user interface, but they're not understanding maybe what is the coding going on behind it, what is that all happening in the background. And to be honest, this is now a basic language. We can consider it a basic language. It's because the whole world is running on this now.
That's right. Yeah. There are a lot of changes happening.
Exactly. Okay. So science, technology, engineering, mathematics is all extremely important now to be part of the fundamental syllabuses of all schools and all curriculums.
Right.
It should, and Qatar, for example, is taking a fantastic initiative with their fab laboratories and such. They are really pushing forward for this.
STEM requires a lot of support from the government, the state, at the policy level, so that whatever is the environment, one is freedom for the teacher, the other one is incentive. Right. Incentives, so somebody is implementing or incorporating the STEM thinking into their teaching. They have to be incentivized, they have to be promoted. Third is projects and scholarships for the students, so that their projects could be STEM based. So that there could be the government or the states or even the industries could promote these through funding small scale projects which children could implement. So otherwise there is no incentive. So who cares?
Yeah, that's right.
So if a teacher is implementing, the teacher has to, this is something new. Otherwise this has to go into teacher education. Whereas so teacher education and teacher tasks should be oriented on that STEM framework.
All right. To what extent the government does its role, like what they are doing in the curriculum, and to what extent they are investing in it to empower it or improve it, I would say, as far as Qatar is concerned. And also if you could relate to other countries.
Well, this right now is testimony that they've taken the first initiative. They've actually seen and recognized that this is an area where they need to focus heavily on, and not just focus on it in education, but I would just say in terms of getting more of the dynamic of the group that they've got, the demographics that they've got. A lot of the presenters indicated that STEM so far, they've realized that the shift has been more female dominated. And if you've got so many girls are going into science, technology, education, yet there are not as many jobs in science, technology, and education in Qatar for these girls who are delving into that aspect. So it's an eye-opening moment for not just the presenters, for the hosts, but also for the persons who are making the policies and realizing STEM is the way to go. But when you want to go in that direction, ensuring that you have the market, you've got the job opportunities for the persons who you want to see making that move. So if we as educators are educating our kids to be STEM based and STEM, thinking STEM wise, then you got to have the jobs out there that they are going to be filling for those roles.
To what extent this is contributing to Qatar's system of education?
This is a great venture, but again, there is hardly any Qataris around. They're speaking about Qatarization, but I don't find any Qataris to listen to or understand that. And secondly, now majority of the participants are non-Qataris, typically because 88% of this population is non-Qataris.
Right.
But then, as an educator in this country, I found that there is a segmentation between Qataris and non-Qataris. If this is to be promoted, the intercultural integration is also to be promoted.
I see.
So that when the state or Qatar Foundation or platforms like this, such as promoting science education, science integration or STEM integration, they have to see that also there is cultural integration.
That's right, yeah.
They should try to make it sure that this minority of the Qataris are gelling with the majority of non-Qataris in projects, so that they are challenged mutually and help mutually. Very often the projects are meant only for Qataris, or unless there is a Qatari involved, you don't get a project. So that is very difficult for a typical non-Qatari school or college to do. Whereas to get somebody involved. Whereas if it was other way about, if a Qatari is given a project and then they are told, in order to fulfill the project, there should be integration of somebody from other schools.
So you think that there is a segregation between the local
there is a segregation, but more than the problem, the solution is that getting beyond segregation, try to make it intercultural.
I see.
So interculturalization is a solution, because we also found that the Qataris are reluctant into the jobs other than mudir.
Right,
that means the managerial jobs.
Yeah, right.
If they have to give and take has to be promoted by the state. That it is not an exclusive domain. Yes, it is their state.
Right.
It is Qatar state, is Qataris. But then, if they have to grow into what they want to be, what they claim to be, then they need to break out of their shell and come and get into close contact with the non-Qataris living here. Okay.
Right.
Then only it will be beneficial for them as well. That's what I feel.
That's right.
So there is so much of culture involved in this whole thing of education.
I see.
So that's it for you guys. That was our first video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope at least you've learned something from it. So I invite you guys to subscribe to our YouTube channel and like the video if you haven't, and I'll see you guys in the next video.